Hey everyone, so this is day 8 of Mageblood from scratch. So today was a pretty exciting day. I was able to end day 7 with about 40 div. I ended up having a few more div worth of items to sell, so I was able to get to about 48 div or so. So unfortunately, my GPU kinda was just dead on arrival, which was very annoying. One of the fans, while it works, none of the programs I've tried using can detect it. And what I'm assuming is happening is either the solder was poorly done or the connector just isn't connected correctly. And it's just permanently sitting at 100% fan speed, which is so unbelievably loud. It was just giving me a headache. So unfortunately, I have to return it and get a different one. But that kind of upset me on the one day it took off. And I said play just a little bit of PoE to just not really like think about how I wasted a whole day doing nothing. At least I got a few videos done too, but I ended up doing a little bit more Betrayal. I'm trying to basically keep everything about this series recorded on stream, but I thought to play about 2-3 hours or so just to have a little bit of fun. And I ended up going from the 45 div or so that I had all the way up to 70. I had a pretty decent time with Betrayal. A lot of ailslings. I actually learned some new tech, which if you are doing Betrayal farming yourself, you might be really interested in. I'm pretty sure as soon as I let this video be released, this is going to be ruined, but here you go. You can have it anyway. So Crown of the Tyrant is a helmet that gives you added damage per socket color on the helmet. And what we're interested in here is the white socket, as this gives you and your allies added chaos damage. Now, this is really good on an animated guardian, and currently Poison SRS uses this helmet. So just a standard Crown of the Tyrants, the roll doesn't matter. You just basically buy the cheapest, is 1 div. Now, if we want to look at a 1 white Crown of the Tyrants, we can see that it's 3 div. We're going to ignore this person, it's an undercut, but they're basically all 3 div. Even some for 4 div. And because of this, and because someone in one of the YouTube comments actually mentioned this, and they're like, Ali, you should look into pariahs and crowns. I'm like, why? And then I realized, well, this is why. I was able to start doing this, and I effectively started making 2 div profit per crown and Verici that I ran, which made it just as good as Ailsling. It effectively doubled my profit per hour. So I was able to hold in those 2 to 3 hours that I played somewhere around 12 to 14 div an hour between Verici and Ailsling. I stopped only focusing on Ailsling, and I made sure I had a Verici and an Ailsling every single time. And because of that, my money per hour skyrocketed. So it was really nice. I think personally, I'm done with doing Betrayal for now, simply because I want to move on to something else. I don't really like sticking to the same strategy for a very long time. I feel like a few days of Betrayal was pretty good, and I think it's time to move on. So because I was able to make a little bit more money during those hours, I end up finishing with about 75 div or so. So I did make quite a lot more, but that was also because I learned the Verici tech. I decided to finally buy a winged scarab. Now this is an 11 use one. The uses doesn't really matter. They're all worth about the same. And this costed me 70 div. So at the start of today, I ended up starting with about 7 div and a few hundred chaos in the section. And I was able to turn that into 9 div, 500 C, a lot more maps, and most importantly, a lot of scarabs. So this in here is about 35 div worth of wing scarabs. It's a very, very good day. And I have moved on to strategy from Betrayal. Now, this strategy is exactly the same strategy that I have a video on, except we changed a few things that we've learned over time. So the first big change is I dropped all the Harbinger nodes. This is because Harbingers just take too long and they're not really efficient. So all the Harpy nodes were dropped, and instead we have all the Shrine nodes. And that's what I was doing for the majority of the day until someone mentioned something that was so brilliant. I don't know what to say, but thank you. So currently, 8 mod Corrupted Crimson Temple is very popular as a method to generate apothecaries. A lot of people are farming this map, and a lot of people are farming it with strong boxes with full set of wing scarabs, just super juicing very quick maps for apothecaries. And they specifically want 8 mod maps, because if we do look at 8 mod maps, we can see they have ridiculously high pox size. Here's one with 43 and 130 fonts, 40 and 104. Here's a 46 pack size, and so on and so forth. These are very, very juiced maps, and people want these. So what we decided to do was to, instead of running the Conquer Scarab for Guaranteed Conquer map, which kind of sucks with Mausoleum because the boss in Mausoleum takes so long, we have instead started running Corrupted 8 modifier and favorited nothing but Crimson Temples. We are doing a little bit of science. For some reason, it feels like having one Mausoleum favorited is on average dropping you more Crimson Temples, which literally does not make sense, but This is what we're going to be testing all of tomorrow, is to understand, does this actually make sense, or is our sample size still way too small and it's just statistical variance? But for some reason, this feels like it's a little bit better, but we will see. And the other changes we made to the tree is we have decided to pick up basically every single point of map duplication that we can and pretty much drop everything else. So we're dropping all the blocking because it's not that important. We're dropping any other random nodes here or there, and we are completely focusing on duplication chance and like picking up these nodes for connected maps. And we're also picking up all the shapings for even more map drops, and we're running singular focus. We're trying to do everything we can to generate as many crimsons as possible. Since these maps are currently worth 13 chaos each, they go for 1 div to 20 on TFT. And while currently it's not worth as much, so this is how many maps we got from running, I believe, 16 Scarab maps. Now, if you look at the price of this versus Conquer maps, we did lose like 50 chaos in value, but we saved a solid 10 minutes, if not a little bit less time, maybe around 8 to 10 minutes of just sitting there waiting for the boss, because the boss does take 30 to 40 seconds to actually fight and kill and wait for the RP. And that time, I could have done an extra few maps. So these, while being worth a little bit less, are saving me a substantial amount of time. I'm going to have this tree in the description below if you're interested in it yourself, but this is the current min-max version of winged scarabs that we've come up with. I'm sure I might change this a little bit here and there, but I think the core concept of what this looks like is going to stay, where we just have as much quant and as much duplication as possible. And that's all I've been really doing today, is just farming winged scarabs. So people have been asking me, how good is this still? Well, my average for the day was 8.5 div an hour, which was fantastic. It's basically just as good as it was last time I tested this a month ago, even though Conquer maps have crashed by 10C each. The Arab market has pretty much stayed stable, which is great. It's allowing us to still have very high profitability. And if people ask me, Ali, is this method worth it? Yes, very much so worth it. This was the end goal for this farm either way. Eventually, I wanted to move on and do winged scarabs, and I'm glad we finally got here. To me, in my opinion, I feel like the series is almost over. My character is pretty well put together. We can farm basically everything that this build is really meant to farm very quickly, and it feels very nice to play. And at this point, all we really have left to do is to get a Mageblood. So looking a bit at the math, since we were making 8.21 div all of today in about 5 hours of farming, and I currently have about 110 div in either stuff in my stash or the money spent on the Wake Scarab, that means we are missing give or take about 200 div to be able to finish our goal. And that means there's only 24.5-ish hours of farming left to do in this series. At this point, we have all the upgrades I need. There's not much really anything for me to spend money on. So it's just simply go, 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 and finish these 24 hours. That means tomorrow, I'm going to try and make a big push for this. I'm not going to do a 24-hour stream, but I'm definitely going to try to do a much longer stream. I would like to be done with this in 2 days. This was day 8. I would like to be done by day 10 if possible, but it's okay if you finish on day 11. But my only focus for the next few days is just farming this at maximum efficiency. I want to say this has been a very fun series so far, and I'm looking forward to finishing it. I am not necessarily sure I will do an update for tomorrow, since tomorrow is just going to be the exact same thing. I might put a break in here and we might do days 9 and days 10 together, or we'll also have a day 11 if we need a day 11, but I will do a finale for this. But currently, since nothing is going to really change tomorrow and it's simply just going to be farming our current strategy all day, and because I have zero plans to buy any sort of upgrade for this build, at least until we get the Mageblood, I think I'm going to continue to keep playing this build after. We will see. But because of all that, I do think I want to bundle the next 2 days together into one big update video. One thing I did actually forget to mention is I have also changed my corrupting strategies for this. So I realize I actually get quite a lot of 30% pack size maps. And before, I was just corrupting absolutely everything. But what I'm doing now is I am only corrupting maps that are under 28% pack size. I have to use a cutoff at some point, and I think 28% is a good number. So anything under 28%, so between 25 to 28 is going to be corrupted, but anything over 28% is just kept. So all these maps that are 30% pack size, I'm just going to run as is. We'll just put the harvest enchant on it. Doing this has actually been able to generate me a lot more yellow essence. I started at 20,000 yellow essence. I'm now 35,000 yellow essence for the day. So we generated 15,000 yellow essence. And I feel like a large majority of that is simply not corrupting the very well rolled maps. So if you are someone who's doing this strategy themselves, I really recommend looking through the pack size of the maps you roll and picking out the very good ones to not corrupt. Because if these brick into 20% pack size, then that really sucks. You actually lose out on quite a lot of pack size. So go through, order them, keep the ones that are very high as they are already, and then just corrupt the rest, and you'll actually gain quite a lot more life force from this. I'm still using polished scarabs. I don't think I will be changing that. People have been saying gilded are pretty good, but I feel like the amount of money you have to spend per gilded is not really worth total value that you're getting out of them. All right, that is about it for today. I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate you guys being on this journey. Tomorrow we'll be doing a very long stream on Twitch, so I hope you join me for that. And if not, then I'll see you guys in 2 days, either with the finale for this and a Mageblood, or for a final update video for the last 20 to 30 div that we would need to farm to get our fancy belt. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you guys in the next